I am back to talk about basketball today, but it is not about the NBA. Today, I want to spend some time to talk about the women. More specifically, women's college basketball, because oh my goodness, as the NBA season is winding down, this season is about to end. And it is the hottest thing on the block right now. I can't lie. I cannot lie. It is hotter than men's March Madness, in my opinion. And that has been the case for the last 2 years. But yesterday, number 1 Iowa Hawkeyes go up against number 3 LSU Tigers in the Elite Eight. A rematch of last year's national championship game. 2 rounds before the national championship game. A lot of the core players at the end of the day are still there. Caitlin Clark is still in Iowa. Angel Reese is still in LSU. Flage is still in LSU. They're still coached by Kim Mulkey. You know what I'm saying? I believe a lot of Iowa's team came over from last year as well. But fantastic game. One of the most hyped up basketball games I have ever seen in my life. Period, point blank. NBA, college, whatever. Because, boy, when we talk about the most electrifying athlete in college sports right now, you could really make an argument that it's Caitlin Clark. She is going on a historic run. She's breaking records left and right. And she is going up against the team that stopped her from winning a national championship last season in the final round. Yet again, it's a revenge game. It's a revenge game. Or a possibility of a revenge game. Or does LSU have Iowa's number? You know what I'm saying? And last night proved that they don't. They don't, because Iowa won 94-87. Angel Reese had 17 points, 20 rebounds. Monster on the glass. 10 offensive rebounds, 10 defensive rebounds. She had 4 assists. She had 3 blocks. She had 2 steals. She had a good game. Could it have been better? Absolutely. Because she was 7 of 21 from the field. She got to the line 8 times, but missed 5 of them. And in a 7-point loss, they really could have used those free throws. For real. They really could have used those free throws for real. But don't worry, because she was not the worst player in that starting lineup. The worst player of the night, and if you were on Twitter, you knew what the fuck was going on, was one Hailey Van Lith. From my understanding, she is one of the highly talked about, hyped up prospects as well in college basketball, at least a couple years back. She went up against Caitlin Clark in Louisville last year when she played for Louisville. She dropped 28. Caitlin Clark dropped 40. Caitlin did the, you know what I'm saying, to her. And essentially in the offseason, she went to LSU to try to form a super team. And they faced the same team last year, and they got their ass busted. I don't know what to tell you. But Hailey Van Lith in this game had 9 points, 2 turnovers, had 3 fouls, was 2 of 10 from the field, was getting baked on defense. Now I will say, Kim Mulkey could have done a better job of throwing different coverages at Caitlin Clark. I do think there was a schematic issue there. They did leave Hailey Van Lith on an island. On pick and rolls, they was dropping in some of them, and it's like you can kind of see it right here. And it's like, God, like what is Hailey supposed to do in this situation? She needs help, because you have one of the, if not the most unstoppable offensive player in the country right now. Please help me, please. I'm not really known as a lockdown defender. I need help. But nevertheless, if inefficient from the field, she even had trouble like getting entry passes off into the paint, bro. Like it was bad for Hailey. On the other side, my goodness. My goodness, y'all. 41 points, 12 assists, 7 rebounds. Don't let the efficiency fool you. You really need to watch the game to see her impact. Because, boy, was she torching that defense. She was torching that. 23s is crazy, by the way. Yo, I said it last night when we were watching the game. I'm like, damn, when the fuck did she get 17 threes up? But, yeah, she is pressing B-stars. She was pressing B-stars. And it was a heroic Herculean performance from one Caitlin Clark, bro. One Herculean performance from Caitlin Clark. And this is where I guess my post-game analysis comes into play. A lot of things to take away from this, but number one, if you are not watching women's college basketball right now, and I will say just college basketball in general, because March Madness has been interesting as well. But if you're not watching women's college basketball right now, you are missing out on good hoops. Period, point blank. And if you want to let your preconceived notions about women's basketball from when you were a kid take and make that determination for you, and if you're going to watch women's basketball in 2024, when you as well are probably a person that acknowledges that basketball does evolve over time, and even recently, 2017 basketball is not the same as 2024 basketball. I don't know how you can have that same belief for the NBA, but for some reason that doesn't translate into different leagues when these players look and see the same things that we're doing. You are missing out on good hoops. Great hoops. Last night was a great game. And it wasn't just last night. I need to make that clear. Last night was not the only great game so far in women's college basketball March Madness. There was the 40 ball Audie Crooks had a couple weeks back. I believe it was last week. There was a crazy Stanford game that went to double OT. That was crazy as well. Hell, even Iowa State versus Stanford was a crazy game that went down to the wire. It might have been that game, actually. I don't know. Yeah, there's just... Hold on, because I don't got the games off the top of my head. I've just been watching a lot of good hoops. USC with Juju Watkins has been electric. I've been watching a decent amount of UConn games as well to see how good Paige is. LSU has been entertaining as well. They've got into some close games. USC, there was a stretch where they were low-key being they might have been upset. But let me look up NCAA March Madness. But long story short, you guys are missing out on good hoops. And I understand if you believe that NBA basketball is the superior basketball product, it's the highest quality product, that's fine. That's cool. And I would probably agree when it comes to what I'm just watching on the court. Where are the high quality plays coming from? Where can I see the smartest IQ players, the most athletic players playing the game at the highest level? It is still probably NBA basketball. But I will say this, that doesn't take away, like, there could be great hoops and there could be good hoops. What this is at the very least good hoops. It's at the very least good hoops. And as the NBA season is winding down, there is this other league where their playoffs are essentially happening, where stakes are higher, right? And I'm going to just keep it a stack. I also see more emotion in college basketball as well, throughout all of college athletics compared to the NBA. And I do think the differentiating factor is because in the NBA, especially for the stars, you can play as long as you want, it's more so as long as you can problem, to be honest with you. But, if LeBron gets eliminated, not LeBron, but let's say, who's a year 4 player right now? Who's a year 4 player? Like Anthony Edwards? Is Ant in his 4th year? I believe he's in his 4th year, right? 1, 2, okay, Anthony Edwards. If Anthony Edwards loses this year, he is still 22. He still has a lifelong career ahead of him. He's making a shit ton of money, so at the end of the day, it's on some, bruh, like, if I lose, I'm going to Cancun on a private jet type shit. But with college athletics, I understand there's a lot of 5-year seniors now because of the COVID extension or whatever happened. I'm not really sure on what happened there. But there's a finite time limit as to when these players can play at certain programs. And for a lot of these players, they're not going to make it to the W. This is it. They're not going to make it to the NBA. This is it. Realistically speaking, this is probably going to be the highlight of my career. And we have this opportunity to become a part of basketball history. You know what I'm saying? This is the platform where I give my all, and you see the emotions come out. And that's not just with the seniors, but with the stars as well. They just care more. They just care more. The fans care more as well. I do believe when it comes to NCAA, well, it's a little different now with the new class coming up with the Jujus, the Pages, and the Caitlin Clarks of the world. You know, we are paying more attention to player narratives and player comparisons and being fans of players. But I still feel like there's more of a team camaraderie, team loyalty aspect to NCAA and college athletics that, in my opinion, is refreshing to see. It's refreshing to see. You know what I'm saying? The student section of, you know, students who go to this school, this thing that they are a part of is being represented on the court. It's just a different vibe. And I feel like I've definitely missed out on more good hoops the more I'm, you know, finding out about NCAA women's basketball lore from even 3 to 4 years back. You know, how good USC was 3 to 4 years back, how good those UConn teams were in the 2010s when I wasn't paying attention for real. It makes me regret that I wasn't paying attention, but, you know, it's one of those things where, hey, it is what it is. You live and learn. You're missing out on good hoops at the end of the day. And if you want to watch good hoops, watch these players play. Another thing that I want to talk about is just the attention when it comes to women's college basketball. Because for so many years, hell, we're still having conversations today, to be honest with you. We have been asking, yo, what is it going to take for the WNBA? What is it going to take for women's college basketball to be more noticed? What is that thing? Is it? Do we just live in a misogynistic society that doesn't care about women? Or are there actual logistical problems to this that we can address? You know what I'm saying? The Shaqs of the world have suggested lowering the rims and things of that nature. And I think we got our answer. And quite frankly, if you've been keeping up with me since 2017, when I did make that one WNBA video on the BSOLZ channel, I have always said it's been a marketing problem. It has always been a marketing problem. Not to, again, there's still the elitism, I guess, when it comes to NBA basketball and the fact that it's the highest level of hoops. So I'm only going to watch the highest level of hoops, and anything below it is a waste of my time. That is still always going to exist, and I do still think the NBA is going to have a chokehold in that department. I don't see a world where the WNBA is going to be bigger than the NBA, because those two entities will always be attached. The NBA just has more lore. But long story short, the answer to me is marketing. It is marketing. It is finding that face of the league that you can market, finding that face of the sport that you can market the same way the NBA marketed Magic and Bird, the same way the NBA marketed Michael Jordan, the same way the NBA marketed LeBron, Kobe, Steph Curry. The WNBA needed that figure from a marketing standpoint. And there have been great players that have come in the past. You know, the Maya Moores of the world. Breanna Stewart is a great player. Sabrina Ionescu is making some waves, right? Cheryl Miller, if we even want to go back. Mind you, these are just names that I know off the top of my head. Brittany Griner is a great player. But when it comes to catching the eye of this fan base, of this demographic that you want to tap into, that you want to convert to be regular watchers of your product, you're going to need something that stands out. You're going to need something that pops out of your screen. And the most recent example of that with the NBA is Steph Curry. We saw this 6'3" guard pulling it from 30 like it was nothing and was winning and making clutch plays and dominating games. And we're seeing that in college basketball right now with Caitlin Clark. Not to say that Caitlin Clark is as good as Steph Curry, but I think for what she means to women's college basketball, I would argue that she actually does mean more to women's college basketball than Steph Curry means to the NBA. But that's a whole nother argument in and of itself. But they have found their figure, and that is Caitlin Clark, and that is undeniable. You even got leagues like the Big Three throwing big bags at her. $5 million for the offseason, by the way. The offseason. Do I think she should take that? I personally don't think so. I don't really think she needs that money. And from my understanding, I believe it crosses over with USA Basketball. So I believe she wants to play USA Basketball. So, that might be a thing. But they found their ones. And I do love the fact that with the ascension of one Caitlin Clark, with the ascension of this player that is must-see basketball, it has also forced people like me to pay attention to the opponents. Because when you're watching these games, they're going to cover the opponents as well and why the opposing team has great players. So in this process, I have been introduced to a Haley Van Lith. I have been introduced to an Angel Reese. I have been introduced to a Flau'jae Johnson. I needed to pay attention to Paige Beckers because everyone keeps saying that there's this player that arguably is still better than Caitlin Clark. And when I'm seeing, first of all, I disagree. But when I see what Caitlin Clark is doing, I need to pay attention to this other player that some people are making an argument is better than Caitlin Clark. And then you got this other player in USC that people are saying, hey, she's a freshman, so she may not be Caitlin Clark level, but she is on pace to be better than Caitlin Clark when it's all said and done. And I'm like, okay, who is she? And that made me watch Juju Watkins highlights. And oh my goodness, let me tell you right now, bro. Again, if you have this notion that women's basketball is so bad that there's no skill, it's not entertaining, it looks like elementary hoops, they're double dribbling, airballing left and right, breaking left and right, missing wide open layups, there's no bag involved. Please, for the love of God, watch Juju Watkins highlights, bro. Please. I can't show it right now for copyright reasons, but the bag is bagging. And again, as much as I don't care about a bag when it comes to production, it is a part of the thing that makes watching basketball interesting. The Hezzies, bro, she's moving like Kyrie out there. That ass. She's moving like JT. She's moving like Paul George out there. The bag is bagging. So if you like that style of basketball, I got a player for you. You know what I'm saying? And speaking of that too, can we stop the dunk argument? Can we stop that? Can we stop that? This argument that the thing that's really gonna make me watch women's college basketball is if you lower the rims from 10 feet to 8 feet and they're windmilling like, yeah. Imagine these women dunking like John Moran on an 8-foot hoop. I'd love to see that. I would then just games like this, and specifically the last few years, have really, really showed me, and I already believe this way. It's just more proof to what I'm already talking about. Confirmation bias, it is what it is. Dunks might be the most overrated thing in NBA basketball, bro. Dunks might, first of all, y'all overestimate how many dunks you see in an NBA game. Second of all, you're overestimating how much it makes the game as a whole interesting. Deadass. You are overestimating how much it makes a game interesting. I could watch a full game without a dunk. Because I think there's also this connotation that, if there's no dunks, there's no flashiness in the sport. You know what I'm saying? Have you seen Kyrie's layup package? Kyrie barely dunks, and he is one of the most entertaining basketball players I've ever seen. Steph Curry barely dunks. He's one of the most entertaining basketball players I have ever seen. If you even want to go back to a Steve Nash, if we want to bring up a Chris Paul in this discussion, you know, there's so many things that make basketball interesting. That something minute as dunking a basketball, lowering the whole rim just so women can dunk a basketball, that's just not the solution that you think it is. Basketball is more than dunks. And I also think in this discussion of what makes people interested in basketball, it is also important to recognize that as pure of a basketball fan you may want to make yourself out to be, you care about storylines. You care about storylines. You care about narratives. You care about seeing certain matchups. And that's okay. And that's okay. I think it's a sports fan's nature to be a fan of a certain thing. I would even argue that it is inherent, like not inherent, but it's really hard for people to watch sports without rooting for a side. This idea that y'all are just watching basketball and just watching it from such an objective lens that you don't gotta chicken in the fight. Nah, bro, you got your favorites. You prefer certain play styles over others. And that's okay. Embrace that shit. You know what I'm saying? Embrace that shit. Storylines matter when it comes to watching sports. It is what makes certain things that we see as interesting as they are. Can this 8 seed beat the 1 seed? Can this team beat this other team that allegedly got their number? Can Caitlin Clark do this carry job that she may or may not be capable of? All of these things. And specifically when it comes to this game, shit, y'all wanted to make it a race war as well. On both sides of the political spectrum. That's one of the parts of this game that made y'all wanna watch. Is the race war aspect of this. You know what I'm saying? Y'all care about the narrative. Y'all care about the storylines. And that's okay. And the reason why I just want to bring that up is because, oh my goodness, there's a few times in my career where I feel like dick suck is just unwarranted. And the dick suck I got from Twitter last year when I said I didn't want a Heat versus Nuggets finals because I wanted Lakers versus Celtics. And the dick suck I got from, if you really like NBA basketball, you know, you would watch the finals regardless. First of all, I watched the finals regardless. And second of all, again, I don't think I should be crucified for wanting certain matchups over the other for non-basketball reasons. Because it is what makes sports interesting. One of the things that makes sports interesting. It's the storylines. But nevertheless, I just want to get this off. Great game yesterday. I will be tuning in to the rest of March Madness. I'm not going to force you to watch women's college basketball or women's basketball or non-NBA basketball if you don't want to. That is not my job. And for some of y'all, your mind is set. You might want to say you're open-minded or whatever. But for some of y'all, bro, you don't want to admit it. Your mind is set. You just don't want to watch women's college basketball. You like NBA basketball. NBA basketball is the only type of basketball you want to consume. And that is okay. But just don't mask yourself as this objective truth seeker in that process. Just know your biases. That's all. That's all. Because I know mine. Because I definitely wasn't a fan of women's basketball the way I have been the last 2 years compared to my teens watching this shit. But I've seen the light. I've seen the light. With that being said, let me know what y'all thought about the game. Let me know what y'all thought about everything. Is Caitlin Clark the GOAT? How will she translate in the WNBA? All these things. But with that being said, I'm out, man. Peace.